This is Radiant Voices Media.
Hi, and welcome to the Jordan Kinda Knows Something show, where I'll be talking about health, fitness, life, and anything else I kinda know something about.
You're able to predispose yourself to absorb contact that would then, if you hadn't had an adjustment, cause an injury. But at that point, you're like, wow, that was just a heavy hit, but I didn't actually get injured because I was able to absorb and I was like pliable.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another week and another episode. Now, this week is going to be a normal week. I am not going to be releasing kind of like a double episode or a bonus episode on Thursday like I did last week. It's just going to kind of be going back to normal. It's just going to be this episode this Tuesday and then another episode next Tuesday. So I just really wanted to get the episode with Megan out last week or as soon as possible, which is kind of the reason why I released 2 episodes last week. It's not a new thing or anything like that. I know there have been a few people that have messaged me on Instagram stating that they've really enjoyed the double episode, but you know, being a full-time master student and just a full-time student in general, don't really have the time, unfortunately, at the moment to be releasing kind of a double episode every week. It is kind of a little bit of work, or I don't want to even say a little bit, it's a lot of work just finding these amazing guests, recording the episode, editing the episode. There's guests that unfortunately sometimes have to like drop out after making kind of plans with them to record an episode because they're busy or for whatever reason. It's totally okay. But, then it's just kind of a battle to try and find a new guest that week. And yeah, it's a lot of work sometimes. So 1 episode per week is the plan for the future. And from here out, I just really thought it was important to get Megan's story out, especially it being Breast Cancer Awareness Month and all. So thank you all for the support and thank you all for kind of the kind messages you've been sending me and Megan. It's really awesome to hear that you guys have taken the time to listen to that full episode, taken the time to listen to Megan's full story. It was a really awesome story and I am glad you all liked it. But yeah, other than that, things have been pretty normal. It's been really nice here in Australia. So here in Australia, summer is about to start. I think like right now it's springish and the weather is starting to warm up again. Not that it was cold before. I mean, here where I am in South Australia, like the coldest it's gotten is like 14, 15 degrees, which is not cold at all. I know like in Vancouver, 14, 15 degrees is like mid-range. So yeah, it hasn't been that cold, but I know yesterday I spent like the entire day at the beach because it was like 29 degrees and it was nice and sunny. And yeah, I'm just so excited. And I'm excited because also like it's Speedo season. So I've gotten to show off my Speedos. I get to prance around the beach with my Speedos and I have a big collection. So I have a lot to show off and a lot of Speedos, I should say, to show off. Not a lot to show off. I mean, maybe a lot to show off, but a lot of Speedos to show off. And I am so excited that it's summer because I get to show off all of that. And I don't know if you guys all heard, but Miss Ariana Grande just announced that she is releasing a new album this month. So I like almost died yesterday when I saw that post on Twitter. It was like, holy shit, this is going to be a good month. And the Queen Miley Cyrus is also releasing her album, hopefully this year, I think. So, the rest of 2020, I think personally is going to be really good music-wise. There's a lot of artists and a lot of albums that are coming out that I'm super excited for. The one thing that I guess I'm not excited for is because these albums are being released, I don't know that there's going to be concerts anytime soon in the future, which sucks. I would love to see Ariana again and Miley again live. But yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, um, which really sucks. But, whatever. At least the album is coming out soon. But one last thing that I wanted to mention before I get started with today's episode is I've been receiving a few messages the past few days, or actually not the past few days. It was like a couple weeks ago, when I first made, I think it was a blog post that I made, and essentially was just talking about therapists and about if you need to talk to someone, then definitely seek out someone. And I can't exactly remember. I mean, I make a lot of blog posts all the time, so I can't exactly remember exactly what I said, but I got a lot of people asking me, oh, do I see an online therapist? Do I talk to an online therapist? Have I talked to an online therapist? Because I know, if you know me, I am very vocal and I'm very open about my past mental health and all of that. And I know I've stated that if you need to talk to someone, or if you just need to simply, make a post online, or you need to do whatever you need to do, then definitely do it. And I really should have done my homework, and I really should have gotten a few of the questions that I got about exactly what the questions were. But essentially, the gist of it is there were about 3 or 4 people asking me if I saw an online therapist, or when I was going through a lot of my past struggles, did I see a face-to-face therapist? And I'm going to be completely honest, I have never seen a therapist. So I just wanted to address that, because I know, again, I'm very vocal about getting the help that you need and whatnot. And if you are someone who needs to talk to someone, then definitely maybe, I don't know, do a Google search, or if you're in high school or if you're in college, go see your counselor. Definitely talk to someone. I know me, that was not something that I felt comfortable with. So I kind of got healthy through other means, and that worked for me. But honestly, if you need to talk to someone, then go and talk to someone. It shouldn't be something that is scary, or it shouldn't be something that is frowned upon. I think sometimes there's this misconception that, people who see therapists or people who see psychologists or whatever are weird and have lots wrong with them. And honestly, I think the people that don't talk to somebody and don't open up and work on their mental health are the weird ones and have something wrong with them. So don't ever feel weird. Don't ever kind of shy away from getting the help that you need. And if that is seeing a therapist, then definitely go seek someone out. So even if it's just a friend, even if you have a friend that you can confine in, or a family member that you can confine in and you want to start opening up to, then definitely do that. Me, it was blogging. That was how I kind of got things out. That's how I talked. It was sitting on my computer, sitting in my diary or my journal, and writing or typing, and kind of just expressing myself through writing. That really helped me. So I don't know, maybe that will help you. I am not a professional. Go find a professional. But yeah, that's what worked for me. So what works for me may not work for you, but I just wanted to address that because, yeah, I know, again, I'm very open about my mental health and about the steps that I took. And again, the steps that I took worked for me, but they may not work for you again. So if you need to talk to someone, if you need to go see a therapist, then definitely don't feel ashamed or don't feel weird about seeing that. Because like I mentioned before, I think the people that are not working on their mental health are the ones that are weird. But that is enough chatting from me. Let's get into today's episode. So today we are talking with Dr. Sterling Petersen. Dr. Sterling is a chiropractor based in LA, my favorite place on this earth. Well, actually, okay, I'm not going to lie. I think Australia is kind of taking that title, and not like LA, like my favorite LA like has parts are my favorite. Like I really like Venice, I really like Hollywood, but anyways, I'm getting sidetracked again. So, Dr. Sterling Petersen, that is who today's episode is with. Once again, Dr. Sterling is a chiropractor. He is super big in his health and fitness, super big in helping people and just getting people moving and getting people healthy. So, in this episode, Dr. Sterling talks with us about what it's like being a chiropractor, how chiropractors can help you, and essentially just health and fitness, his journey in health and fitness, and how he stays healthy, amongst other things, of course. So I hope you all enjoy today's episode, and let's get into it. Alrighty, everyone. So I am here with Dr. Sterling Petersen. Welcome to the show, Sterling.
Appreciate you having me on, man.
Awesome. So if you didn't mind maybe starting by introducing yourself.
Yes, for sure. So my name is Dr. Sterling. I'm a chiropractor from California, and I run a health clinic out here with my parents who are also chiropractors. They actually met in chiropractic school. So I've grown up in it my entire life. I played sports, it helped me to become a good athlete. It helped me with all my injuries and everything. So health in essence is my passion. And yeah, I hope that's a good little intro.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've always been kind of interested in health and fitness. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, I was gluten free since I was
Okay.
8 years old.
Oh,
So
wow.
like, it was like, I had to get bread imported from Canada because it wasn't that easy to get. So this was
Yeah.
like pre, at like the Safeways, like easy to get. So it was hard to get.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've been like ahead of all these trends for a long
For a
time.
while.
It was tough as a kid, but it isn't too bad now.
Right. Right. Where do you think that passion for health and fitness came from?
Well, I mean, I think as you can probably tell, I've been in that health type of approach for a long time. So I grew up in it. And then just as an athlete, I was like, how can I continue to become a great athlete? How do I feel great, right? And like as a kid, occasionally you can eat candy and you don't really care, but as you start to get older, you start to tell, like, you drink too much and you feel like crap. You don't eat good stuff, you start to feel like crap. And then all of that history of everything that I was told, and I was like, and I had eaten and like had experience with it all, kind of was like, wow, I guess there was something to that. And I was like, because I want to accomplish a ton. And in order to do that, I have to have the correct energy. I have to be happy. I have to be healthy. And from everything that I have, that I know, health is a huge part of that.
Right. Right. And I really like that, how you said you want to accomplish a ton. Did you always have that drive growing up, or was it something that you kind of had to develop?
That's a good question. I think I've always had it, but it was just channeled in other avenues, right? So I think it was channeled. All I cared about like was sports. So I was actually terrible at school, and then I became a doctor, and because I had that in me, but I was like, all I care about is sports. So I don't care if I have to study because I'm going to be a pro athlete. So who cares? So it was just in my head as a kid, right?
Right.
But then at a certain point, I'm like, I guess in order to become a pro athlete, I would have to go to a college. So I'd have to get good grades. I was like, okay, sure. I should be good at school. And then I had that passion. So I've always had that drive. It just had to be put towards the purpose, right? Or the ultimate end goal.
Right. Okay, cool. And now I know you just mentioned that, or you mentioned earlier that your parents were chiropractors, or are chiropractors. So how did you wanting to become a chiropractor? When did that develop? Was that always from a young age, or?
No, and it's interesting because you would probably assume that because I had chiropractors as parents, that they would like push me to do chiropractic,
Right.
but they didn't ever go, you should be a chiropractor, you should help to take over all this stuff. It was always just like, you should do what makes you happy, and they just helped with my sports and everything. So it probably happened in college because I was like, I want to do, something with health, in regards to I don't want a job that I have to be in a chair all day. I was like,
Right.
and I was like, I guess chiropractic kind of answers all those questions. So,
Yeah.
and then I was like, okay, good. So how do I become a chiropractor? And then I just had this head start because I had my parents who were chiropractors, and then it all kind of like gelled into place.
Right. Okay. What was schooling like for chiropractic school?
Schooling is pretty intense. So
Right.
I did undergrad, and I was like, college is kind of tough. And then I went to chiropractic school, and I feel like I was like, wow, so this is college.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I feel like all of my undergrad, like the accumulation of all that time, like I did all those tests for to get in order to get like a degree.
Right.
um I feel like I did all that in my first half of a year at chiropractic school, because there were
Okay.
just so many tests after tests. I was like, holy cow, I
Yeah.
cannot take a day off. I can't take a break. It was very, very intense. But I was like, but also it kind of helps to get people that aren't in it for the actual, passion of
Mm.
chiropractic to go, yeah, this is a ton of effort. I might not be that into it. I think I might try to go do something else, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's always interesting too. You can definitely tell people who have the passion and want to be there because of the passion versus the people that are there maybe just to get a degree or this and that. I know me in my master's of physio right now, you can definitely tell the people that are here for because the love of physio, because they want to help people versus the people that are here because they didn't get into med or they didn't get into other programs like that. So I always find that interesting. Yeah. Now, for people that are listening that don't know chiro or what chiro is, I know there's people from around the world. What is a chiropractor?
Yeah, so a chiropractor is cool because there isn't any other, I would say, professional who does exactly what a chiropractic does in
Right.
regards to how they adjust the joints, and consequently how that influences your entire nervous system
Right.
and your spine, which then influences your organs, your joints, ultimately, everything to a degree, right? So yes, you can stretch and you can have a person stand on your, you know, uh, you know, help you out with like a huge hug, and you're like, oh, it cracks, cool. No, it's not the same. It's an exact adjustment that takes a ton of training in order to do, and to also to assess like what is the correct area in order to adjust, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I always find it interesting because I've seen a chiro for years and years. And I mean, now in Australia, I don't, but when I was back home in Canada, I had one. And I'm the type of person that likes to see one person over and over. So my chiropractor was like out of the way and I would go see him. And just the things that he did was so weird, essentially, to me. Like, putting I can't remember what one day that he did, but I think it was like something wasn't activating and he like went out and he took like zinc or something like that, put that on my tongue. And then I was just amazed at like the changes. It's so interesting what chiros do. So how is it different than other professionals? I know you went over it a little bit, but how is it essentially different than physio, for example, or massage therapist or other professionals out there that people can kind of see?
Yeah, so it is. So for a chiropractor, your job is to adjust the joints in the spine, right? So when you're a massage therapist, your job is just to kind of ease stuff up in regards to like the muscles, right?
Right.
And also a PT is typically their job is to find adhesions or other parts that are inhibiting other parts from operating properly or doing their job, right? So if it gets too tight, you can get a strain. A sprain can cause headaches, right? So chiropractic, their job is to just adjust. I mean, if you're talking from a pure chiropractic description, because there are some chiropractors who do some, some stretching and other stuff on top of adjustments, but from just the adjustment point of view, it's you take a joint to a certain point, because there are kind of like points, you have like these kinks in a chain, right? And if you handle the proper kink in a chain, then everything else eases up, right? So and it's also not always at the point that is stiff or tight. It could be the part that is stiff or tight could just be a compensation, because this other area is out, right? So if you address the correct spot, then everything else eases up after that. But again, it's the adjustment of the joints. And if there's, I can adjust just about every joint, which is kind of crazy. But I can. So chiropractors, we adjust the joints in the spine, but it's in order to optimize your nervous system and all of that potential, which ultimately is just how you're supposed to feel, right? So, if you're ill or anything, it's because everything isn't at 100%. And in any aspect of health, the whole job is to be like, so how come you aren't at 100%? What in the scope that I'm a pro at, can I possibly help you at in order to achieve this ultimate 100%? I'm not ill. I don't have aches and pains. I don't have anything, right? So ultimately that is the goal. And then it just depends on if you're a chiropractor, a PT, a masseuse, a nutritionist, how you address and what lens you kind of view it through.
Okay. So how would somebody choose to see a chiropractor? Why essentially would someone want to come see a chiropractor?
Yes. So a chiropractor, I see people, so in my office, right, I see people who have headaches, who have migraines, who have who just have pain in general, right? So I see people who are in pain and they aren't sure, how do I get out of pain, right? And so or if they've injured themselves too. So if it's like, I was great, then I went to the gym, I went too hard, I injured everything. Then they're like, I feel like I should be, how do I change that? Or I see people who have trouble with like their breathing too, right? And so there are aspects in regards to like the rib cage, other issues like that, especially hip pain. Like if you sit in your chair a ton, so anything that's from having poor posture, like you're hunched over, you have aches in the upper part of your spine, or your hips are just achy because they're in a chair like all day. So there are a ton of things. And I would say, and it's also, there's a ton of age groups too. So I see kids, I see infants. I had a patient who came in, I helped her through the whole pregnancy. Then I saw her kid like 2 weeks afterwards. And it was like just this tiny kid, because he couldn't turn his head. His head was off here and he couldn't turn in order to breastfeed. So, a couple adjustments, it's extremely easy, right? It isn't anything close to an adjustment on an adult, but after that helped out a ton. And also he was having trouble, like pooping. And so we, like if you adjust all of the areas of the hip and, L2 through 4 and like the sacrum area, which innervates that whole area in regards to pooping and all that stuff. So I did some adjustments in that area. And then I get a text. She's like, we had to pull over because he was pooping on the drive home. And I'm like, I guess that's good. For her, it's like, I'm so happy, because it's like a 2-week-old kid. And it's, so there's a ton of great causes to come to a chiropractor. And it's just, I would say ultimately, if you aren't healthy or if you have any type of issues, then chiropractic can help you. It just depends on what scale.
Right. Okay. What about people like, I always hear people say that, oh, they're not specifically injured, but they, like an athlete, for example, when I was playing back in college, or even under college when I was in hockey, like I would always have teammates that would say, "Oh, I want to see my chiropractor," just kind of for that routine, to crack your back and to open and whatnot. So how can chiropractors play a role with athletes, I guess?
Yeah, it's huge for athletes because the whole goal as an athlete, and actually for everyone, is that you're trying to be proactive and not reactive to pain or injury or anything, right? So if you can prevent an injury from happening, or you're able to predispose yourself to absorb contact that would then, if you hadn't had an adjustment, cause an injury. But at that point you're like, wow, that was just a heavy hit, but I
Yeah.
didn't actually get injured because I was able to absorb, and I was like pliable. I was able to absorb all that type of force that
Right.
didn't quite cause an injury, right?
Right.
So in that sense, adjustments could be proactive,
Right.
because the job is that you're trying to just get every ounce of like a step up on everybody else, right? And
Mm.
also as an athlete, you are so in tune to, like, it's like, yeah, I could go play, but my hip is just a little bit off, and I feel like
Yeah.
if I could get it adjusted, I wouldn't have attention on my hip, but then I could have my attention on trying to score a goal, trying to
Right.
have the right play. You just are able to put 100% of your concentration in your sport, or in your, even just your job, compared to having your attention on injuries or aches and pains of, like, yes, you can push through all that, but you shouldn't have to. And
Right.
it's still, like, hey, you should pay attention to my hip, it's off, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what essentially would a treatment look like? I know it's probably individualized depending on the person coming in, but let's say I came in and I'm injury free right now, but I'm a CrossFit athlete. I, like we were just mentioning before, I'm just someone who wants to get that routine kind of treatment and adjustment. What would a treatment look like?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, to start, you would do an exam to see where everything is at. So through that exam, I have a trained eye at this point, also because I was an athlete. I might ask you to do a squat, to do, to stand here, or or I could just ask you to like stroll, and I could check out your overall gait, right? So through just that, I could even say, I'm like, wow, is your hip an issue here? Because every time that you take a step, it's kind of like it like hitches, right? So, or it could be, and then after that, I would check out every joint. I would just kind of check out everything, and just kind of, as if you have any type of aches and pains, I would concentrate on certain areas too. But then after that, the whole point of chiropractic, and what I try to concentrate on, is I try to show the power of an adjustment. So I might say, hey, yes, you can head to the gym, okay, but can you tell here in your hip you aren't able to complete a squat because your hip here is tight, that it's actually preventing you from doing it, right? And I go, okay, good. So we're able to highlight that. And then after the adjustment, I go, okay, good. Now let's see if the adjustment helped with a couple areas. So I would go, okay, good. So let's head back to our squat. And you're like, oh my God, I can squat all the way to the floor without any issue. And I go, great. So I was able to prove the power and like the specialty of an adjustment. And it could be just in the hip, it could be headaches. I have some people who aren't able to turn, and then after an adjustment can turn and they're like, oh my God, wow, I can actually see who I'm as I drive, if there's anybody over here,
Right.
so I don't hit them. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
important. So it's just, I think what's cool is that I don't go just, okay, good, hop on the table, crack, crack, crack. I go, okay, good. Here is how come I love chiropractic. And
Yeah.
and I want to prove to you that it can help and change with those issues that you're having, or just areas that are, even if it's small, they're still
Yeah.
inhibiting you from doing the stuff that you want to do and should be able to do.
Right. Awesome. All right. So there's a lot of, I guess, chain reactions in the body that can kind of set
Totally.
someone backwards. Cool. So
Hmm.
when we're talking about adjustments, maybe for people out there, like maybe not on professional terms, but what do you mean by adjustments when you are adjusting somebody? What are you adjusting and kind of what's involved in that?
Yeah. So when you do an adjustment, you actually take like a specific vertebrae, right?
Right.
And you actually adjust that joint beyond a certain point in order to accomplish an adjustment, right? So you kind of have like certain, if we're trying to get technical, there are like these like grades, right? You have like a grade 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so a chiropractic adjustment is all the way at the end of that scale
Mm,
in order. So it isn't just a like cracking your hand. It's like it takes it to a certain point in order to accomplish
right.
the results of the chiropractic adjustment. And
Right.
and also I get asked, do adjustments hurt? And it shouldn't hurt at all, right? And you're
Right.
like, it seems like it would hurt, but you're like, no, if it's done properly and at the correct spot, at the correct angle, it should not be painful.
Right.
It should actually go like, whoa, that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Were you nervous at the beginning? Like in school, going back to school, did you have to practice this in school? Like, I mean, of course you did, but on other classmates and whatnot?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you would go, okay, good. I want him to adjust me, and I don't want him, so I'm going to partner
Yeah.
up with him in an adjusting class because I feel like I could be okay with him. And you kind of have to go, look, I'll adjust you, and you can
Yeah.
adjust. But like, you like highlight who's ahead of the class in certain areas because
Yeah.
it is a bit scary. But also at the start, you often if anything, you adjust easier than how you are supposed to because you're just
Right.
a bit tentative. So it's like you're like, and they're like, okay, so did anything happen? They're like, no. You're like, they're like, no, didn't happen. And you're like, so it takes some time to get that confidence. And also, every joint and every person on my table requires like slightly different pressure, right?
Right. Right.
Which also just comes with having hands on, like, oh wow, here's a spine that's a little bit easy, or here's a spine that's
Yeah.
extremely tight, oh my god. So you don't adjust those equally, just as you aren't like adjusting a kid as you are a grown-up, right?
Mm,
So
right.
but all that takes time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's something that I'm still trying to get used to. I mean, physios don't do adjustments to the degree that chiros do, but the small amount that we have done, it's like I have not been able to crack one person's back as of as of yet. People can crack mine all the time, but I cannot
Yeah.
crack
Oh
anybody's.
really?
Yeah.
It could
Um,
be the partner who you have, but who
yeah,
knows?
maybe.
Because there
The
are some
entire
there are some spines that just are hard to
yeah.
crack sometimes.
Yeah,
So
I
it could
know.
be that.
I'm getting bad backs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um but I want to go into now fitness. So
Sure.
Um, I know you were saying you grew up playing sport and whatnot. What are you doing now to be active?
Yeah. So I work out about 5 days a week now. I
Mhm.
go to the gym, but I like to go to a gym that has cool type of equipment, like turf,
Right.
kettlebells, all types of, like, so yes, I can do traditional squats and all that stuff too,
Yeah.
but I prefer to be like a bit more challenging in all
Mm,
of the exercises that I prefer to do. So
yeah.
like if they have like a sled, if they have other types of equipments that that I
Right.
can like jump on and off, and I can do overhead pressing and all this other stuff,
Right.
because I feel like it's important to be strong in all avenues and all types of angles,
Yeah.
because when you're encountering everything, like you're trying to put like like a heavy type of a suitcase in an overhead compartment, that isn't an a squat, right? It's like a combo
Right.
of like a clean press push, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so if you aren't trained in all that, then you can hurt yourself. So
Yeah.
I like to be strong and prepared, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And then I like to stay strong and fit ultimately.
Right.
So I kind of just change it all up and do stuff like that.
Awesome. So more functionality, I guess, in a
Yes,
sense.
super
Yeah.
functional fitness. Yep.
Cool. So why is it important to you to stay healthy and to kind of train? Because there are a lot of practitioners out there that I feel don't train or even go through school. Like I know me, again, in physio school, you can definitely tell the people that don't train, that don't go to the gym versus the people that do. Just kind of wrapping your hands around even basic concepts like reps and sets and things like that, like not having that understanding. So why is it important for you, I guess, as a practitioner, to stay healthy and be fit?
Totally. I mean, I think that's extremely important in school too. I would see some other chiropractors who were just like in terrible shape. And I was just like, I don't understand that all, but
Yeah.
again, I was always an athlete. So I
Yeah.
understand that they probably don't understand how I
Yeah.
do things either.
Yeah.
But I think, if you are in the aspect of health, all of your patients are trying to, like if you tell them a piece of advice and you don't, and you aren't like an ultimate, like a great example of like what healthy is, what strong is. And
Mm,
it's like, you have to be doing your exercises, and they're like, do you? And you're like,
yeah.
you have to be able to go like, look, I'm extremely strong, I'm here all day, and then
Yeah.
after that I go to the gym. And like, you don't have an excuse, because I don't have
Yeah.
excuses either.
Right.
And also it will just attract the type of person who's actually interested in health, and is ultimately trying to not just get a quick change. Like, okay, good, do you have a pill, because if I could take that and then be strong? They're like, no, it
Right.
actually takes time, takes effort, you have to understand everything.
Yeah.
So I would say, and then also I treat my job as if it is a sport still, right? Like I
Right.
train, I practice my adjustments, I do my stretches, pre-adjusting, because it takes strain on you. And it took
Yeah.
me some time to go, oh my God, I'm in pain. And I think it's because I'm adjusting. And I was like, okay, good. I got to change some stuff. I got to stay strong. If I'm going to have, if I'm going to try to do this a long time,
Yeah.
I can't be injured. Right. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I actually have to do all this stuff. So, I think, and also I'm just happier. And I think it just creates a great culture in your practice and for the type of people that you attract as well.
Right. Yeah. And that's one thing that you just mentioned earlier that I know, like me, I've always been into health and fitness, but now ever since I've been in school, like making sure that I'm fit enough to help treat people is super important, cuz me
It's
working
big
like even
time.
on a footy team, like some of
Yeah.
the guys and some of the players are huge, and just doing a simple assessment like trying to lift their leg in a straight leg raise,
It's like a
like
100-pound
yeah,
leg.
exactly. Yeah. So it's like
Yeah,
just being fit enough
I
to do
know.
that and then pay attention to everything else. I'm like, oh shoot,
Yeah.
you gotta be fit for this.
No, it's so true. And it isn't talked about in school either. And I was
Yeah.
like, guys, did we, like, I think I skipped a class because I didn't hear anybody talk. And then I had to talk to my dad, because he was always like, he kind of stood and like upright. I'm like, he's so upright. And then I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, because he's been on this now for like a long time.
Right.
So he knew how to approach it. And then he's like, no, you have to be extremely great, because it just adds up over time. And then
Yeah.
and then you're out for a couple of days, and you can't, because
Yeah.
you got to be able to treat people.
Right. Okay. Awesome. So,
Yeah.
where can people find you? I know it's 2020. People like to know social media and things like that. Do you have anything that you want to plug in?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm active on my Instagram. So,
Okay.
and then I've been hopping on the TikTok train too.
Yeah.
And so my handles are Dr. Sterling, and it's all spelled out. So
Okay. Okay.
DoctorSterling, and that's for Instagram and also TikTok. And then I've got other ones too, but I'm predominantly active on those two. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Awesome. And that will be in the show notes, everybody. So be sure to check all of that out. Thank you so much for being on the show. This was awesome and very informative.
Good. I'm glad you had me on, man, and I appreciate it. And yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And once again, be sure to find all of Dr. Sterling's links in the show notes below. You can click on those and you can find him there. I do want to quickly make a little announcement. It's an exciting announcement, exciting one for me. I am working super hard right now to kind of complete a 6 to 8 episode series titled the Plant-Based Strong series. So again, if you know me, you know I have been plant-based and vegan for 6 or 7 years now, and I have thrived off it. Being a CrossFit athlete, I have noticed some great improvements in my performance and things like that. So this series, I should say, is again going to be 6 to 8 episodes. I haven't quite decided yet. Every episode is going to be a new guest, of course, and we are just going to be covering various topics in the plant-based vegan kind of world. So I am interviewing CrossFit athletes, doctors, naturopathic doctors, nutritionists, holistic nutritionists. We are talking about gut health, performance, bodybuilding, just covering a whole bunch of areas, and I am super excited to be doing this. It is, again, going to be probably 6 episodes, but maybe 8. I don't know. It'll be dependent on how lazy and if I can find 8 guests. But thus far, there have been about 5 episodes that I've recorded, and I have a whole bunch of other guests that are kind of on the list and that are scheduled to be recorded. So again, I just wanted to make that announcement because I know at the beginning of the episode, I mentioned how I'm not going to be posting twice a week, but that was actually a lie because when this series is being released in mid to end November, I am going to be releasing 2 episodes a week. So once on Tuesday, once on Thursday, just because there's 6 to 8 episodes and I want to get them out there. So this series isn't going to be just for people that are plant-based and for vegan people. It is going to be for everybody. So all of you people listening right now that are not plant-based, that are not vegan, don't worry. This is not going to be kind of a shove veganism and plant-based kind of beliefs down your throat. Not at all. It is just going to be showcasing people's journeys with being vegan, with being plant-based, and showcasing how they have thrived off of it. So the intention here is, again, to showcase people's journeys. It is to maybe incorporate more plant-based ideas into people's minds. But again, I just want to announce that, like, it's not going to be like a heavy, oh, go vegan, go do this, that. No, it is, you do you, I'm going to do me, but it is not going to be that. So it's going to be a series for everybody to listen to. It is only going to be that 6 to 8 episodes, and then I'm going to go back to the normal weekly, just covering everything, lifestyle topics. So, yeah, thank you all for listening to today's episode, and I will talk to you all next week.